Welcome to the leading podcast for long-term weight management. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jenny on all social media channels. You can also sign up to the newsletter to receive frequent content and tips for weight loss success.
Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Power Over Food podcast. I am your host, Jenny McDonald. I hope life is treating you well. I hope you're having a great week. Now, today I've got a special guest with me. I'm speaking to a lady who I connected via a group that we're both in. And this lady is an amazing human. She is a qualified psychotherapist and she specialises in working with families and parents to understand how thoughts create feelings that can often lead to stress and anxiety. She runs a successful psychotherapy practice and she also has a podcast, which I was guest on a couple of weeks ago, which is amazing. So thank you for that. And the podcast is called Living Life Being Human. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the show, Jacci Jones. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's getting to be a habit.
It is. Weekly calls.
Yeah.
Oh. So I just wanted to start off. Obviously, I've chatted with you lots and know more about you now. But could you just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your journey, and what has led you to being where you are right now?
Wow, that's a long and winding road. I'm a mum of three. My eldest is 34 now, which is quite shocking. I've got a daughter who's 31 and she provided me with a wonderful grandson 3 years ago, so I'm a nanny. And my youngest is coming up to 17 this year, so I'm a mum of three. I suffered really badly with my last son with postnatal depression. I had it with all three, but it got progressively worse. I was a nursery nurse. That was my first, hairdressing was my first career. Then I went into nursery nursing. When my daughter went to school, I went back to college. That led on to me being a tutor for Stafford College, working out in the community with parents. And that's kind of where my journey started. Then I took a complete break and disappeared to Wales and had a small holding for a few years, where I learned how to artificially inseminate pigs above, that was one of the things that I did. The postman used to bring it and then we'd have little piglets in 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. That's how long a pig's gestation is. Just a random piece of information. Then I came back and I was a foster carer for 13 years and I fostered quite difficult teenage boys, tended to be the ones that came to live with us. And that kind of started my journey looking deeper in behaviour and what I could do. I didn't want to just meet the basic needs of food, shelter, warmth and being a surrogate parent. I wanted to try and help support them in a better life. So then I got into the psychotherapy and trained at the Manchester Institute of Psychotherapy for 4 years, qualified in that and started my private practice, and that's kind of where I am now.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I see anybody. I see, individuals, couples, parents, families, parents with their children. I see, youths on their own. I think my youngest was 4 years old and probably my eldest in the 60s. So there's a vast age range, and being a human being is quite complex, really. So people walk in through the door with many different things. And they think, oh, this is really bad, or I'm the only person that feels this way. You're not. No. If you can take anything from this, you are not alone. Being a human being is so complex. It really is.
And we're all just making it up as we go along.
We're all just winging it. That is one of my sayings. Yeah, we do that. I sometimes annoy my clients because I'll say things after we've got a relationship. To me, the therapeutic relationship is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what type of therapy you go to, whether it's transactional analysis or gestalt or person-centered or talk therapy or whatever it is. It's the relationship that you have with the other person. That is paramount.
Yeah.
So, once I've got to know my clients, I come out with statements like, it is what it is till it's not. And they go, why do you say that? I said, well, it is. You'll survive it. It's crap, but you will get through this.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not ready to hear that. But yeah. I don't think I'm your typical psychotherapist. I'm a Lancashire girl, and I don't mess about. If they want to make a change, then I'm going to kick them up the butt and hold them accountable to make that change.
Oh, and I know we spoke earlier, but accountability is key, isn't it? It's absolutely key to keeping yourself on track. I know I've talked about this before, and I think I think the danger people make particularly with weight loss and changing the relationship with food is they choose an accountability partner that's usually their eating buddy. Yeah. So, your best friend that you join Slimming World with, but then, the next week you're like, should we not go? Should we just go out for a meal instead? And you need someone that is going to hold you accountable, that is going to kind of go, no, that's not what we agreed here. That's not how we planned it. Let's get back on track. Let's keep focused on the goal. So
there's something for me about an accountability buddy is it doesn't collude with you. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we have an accountability buddy that I don't know, they're not challenging. To me, being accountable means that I'm challenged, that somebody's going to support me and catch me when I fall, but they're going to push me in the right direction. Whereas often I think, again, it's a psychological thing. We pick like-minded people that are going to side with us about things.
Yeah.
One of the things I talk a lot about with my clients is we all have a story, and I don't need to know what your story is. You can offload it, you can tell it me, but the more we talk about our story, whatever that is, if it's a breakdown of a marriage or trauma in our childhood, it starts to become part of who we believe we are. Mm-hmm. And we draw people into that story to reinforce it and to side with us. And it just makes it bigger than what it needs to be. So, you can tell me your story, but I'm not going to buy into it, because that's not who you are. That, your trauma, your story does not make who you are. And I think that's quite important. So I kind of tackle it from that way.
That's really got me thinking. That's really interesting about the way we tell it so many times to kind of reinforce who we are. Yeah. And to get people on board with it, and to get people to collude with our story. Yeah. We have an innate sense of belonging as human beings. It's kind of Maslow's hierarchy of need. Mm-hmm. We need to belong. So we will do anything to belong to something, even if that's going on Facebook and finding a group where there's loads of negativity in there. If we can jump in there and belong, it's not helpful, but that's the kind of thing that a lot of us do. If we're suffering from anxiety or an eating disorder, we'll find a group. But I did it as research, quite a while ago, and I came out feeling so anxious. It's like, this is not helping me. I'm not an anxious person. I've had periods of anxiety, but I was in a group listening to lots of people talking about it, and I felt really anxious. One of the things I say is step away from Google. Google does not help us when we're not in a good place. No, it doesn't. And it's funny you say that, because I was just thinking about a group that I joined a while ago, and there's 36,000 members, and it's like weight loss support for women. And it's, while everybody thinks they're being really helpful in this group, what's happening is they're all comparing each other's weight loss. They're all comparing and jumping from one diet to another because someone else is getting faster results. They all want a comparison photos, and then they kind of feel rubbish because that person looks great when they've lost weight and they've got no saggy skin, and actually I've got saggy skin, and it's just it's not actually helping them at all. Yeah.
See, there's something I talk about it a lot called ages and stages, and we all go through it, the psychological development. And there's an age between the age of 3 and 6 where we compare and contrast ourselves to others. It's what we all do. And we recycle that at different stages in our life. So I don't know if you've got a daughter, haven't you?
Yes, yeah.
When they go to school and they want the same bag as the best friend and they want the same coat and you got them the wrong shoes because Jessica's got black ones with a flower on it and all that sort of, that's the kind of stuff that we go through psychologically, naturally anyway. So you get a group of people all experiencing the same thing. They will kind of morph into one big group, all with the same thought process, all wanting to follow the same diet, all wanting to do the same stuff. It's a psychological thing that we do as human beings.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things I talk to with my clients are normalizing their behavior. You're not on your own in this.
Yeah.
You know, we all do it.
Yeah.
We go through the stages. If we start a new job, we go back to right at the beginning, like we were when we were, before 6 months old, where we needed taking care of. When you start a new job, a new school, in a new relationship, we recycle that same behavior.
Yeah.
It's all psychological mumbo jumbo, but just letting people know that what you're going through is okay and perfectly normal.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I find working in groups so powerful in terms of my coaching, because when you have a group of people that they all eat in secret and they've all gone through stages of weighing themselves 17 times a day, they kind of go, oh, okay, so other people do this. And that is really reassuring and makes them feel safe that they can open up and share, because they realize they're not alone. They realize there's, Yeah.
And I'm one, there's no blame or shame. Like I said, we've probably all done certain things. And I talk about, it's not about being judgmental. It's about awareness and acceptance and being curious.
Yes.
It's not about pulling it apart. It's just being curious.
Yeah.
Why do I do that? Why when I go out for a meal, do I feel like I can't eat in public, but then I'm starving when I go home and I raid the biscuit barrel? Or why do I feel that when I go out, I've got to clear my plates? That there's starving children in Africa. I know that there is, but me not eating my cabbage on my plate isn't going to help those kids in Africa. So it's all this stories that we tell ourselves that then become our beliefs.
Yeah, totally. You've just used my favourite saying as well, be curious. It really is that, isn't it? I'm sure you use that a lot, but, that's what I say. Oh, isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that I've just come off the phone from my boss and I've eaten a bag of crisps and a Kit Kat? Wow, that's really interesting. Rather than, oh gosh, I'm so stupid. There's no mileage in beating yourself up. You are where you are. Let's explore it. We're such complex beings. Let's look at that. What can we unpick from that? So
and it's about embracing it. There are certain parts of my personality that I don't particularly like and they work against me a lot of the time, but there's other parts of me that I bloody love. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not one flat thing. People say to me, how come I really like getting up early in the morning and exercising, and yet I love having a lie-in and a couch day? That's just part of who you are. We're not flat. It's not, this is the way it always is. We do the opposite sometimes as well. And one of the things I talk about is we have a surviving personality and a performing personality. Our surviving one is formed really early on, and then we have a performing one that's kind of comes later on. And it's like having a big slogan on the front of your T-shirt. This is me, I'm coming for you. And we show that to people. We don't mind people seeing that part of who we are. But then we've got a tiny little slogan on our back that says, this is the real me. We don't like showing people that. Our vulnerabilities, all that sort of stuff. So we're projecting one fake identity out there, if you will, and nobody gets to see us without our mask on a lot of the time. Brene Brown, I don't know whether you've heard of her. I love her. She's an American person. She did a TED talk and she talks about courage and vulnerability. You can't be courageous without being vulnerable, and you can't be vulnerable without being courageous. And it's 100% true. To show our vulnerabilities, we've got to take the rough with the smooth. And sometimes we end up face down in the dirt. But there's other people face down in the dirt as well with you.
Yeah.
We've got to be really courageous. So somebody that's struggling with mental health or losing weight, to open up and be vulnerable takes massive courage and determination. Yeah. And I never underestimate that when somebody walks in my therapy room. The courage that it's taken them to take that first step is massive, massive.
Yeah, because I think when you kind of, by taking that first step, it's almost like you're accepting that there's work to be done. And actually, just to accept that is huge, because if I accept it, then I've actually got to start doing the work. And with that becomes the fear of not being able to do the work and not succeeding. So it's so true.
And
so true.
You know, again, talking about, you know, our belief system and things like that, our upbringing has a big bearing on how we perceive ourselves. I've got a free quiz. If anybody wants to access it, they can just check out my website, jaccijones.co.uk, and it's all about driver behaviours. We have 5 driver behaviours that we have access to. We usually go to them when we're stressed. You can access all of them, but we're usually 1 or 2 are our go-to ones. So we've got Be Strong, where we don't talk about feelings at all. We don't do feelings. I have a massive Be Strong. I'm a thinker. I work my way through problems. And after I've sorted it out, then I go to pieces. Okay. So that's a Be Strong driver. They're usually very organised, very structured, you know, so there's that one. There's the Be Perfect, where we need to get everything just right.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah. You'll see yourself in all of these. Everything has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I'm not launching it, I'm not doing it. I can't go out without my face on, or open the door to the postman in my pyjamas. We're quite self-critical if we have a Be Perfect driver. Mm-hmm. Then we've got, what else have we got? I write them down because I always forget. We've got to please others. I've got a massive please others. That's why I was a nursery nurse. That's why I was a foster carer. That's why I'm a psychotherapist. People in the caring profession usually have quite a strong please others, because we want to please all the people around us. Because if everybody around us is happy, then I'm happy. Yeah. We're no good at self-care. That's a big thing with a lot of people, is they're constantly focusing on other people and not themselves. Then we've got a try hard, where we make everything like a Chinese puzzle. To, I don't know, sit in front of a video and record something, for me, somebody else finds it really easy. I've got to have my scripts, I've got to have my cup of coffee, I've got to make sure I've got the right glasses, I've got to have the right clothes on, I've got to have my hair. I make it so difficult. I've got a friend that literally does live Zooms from a bed without brushing her hair. And I'm like, how can you do that? Everything's got, my lighting's got to be right. I've got to make sure that it's ridiculous. So that's a try hard driver. And then you've got a hurry up, which I don't know if you've noticed, I've got a hurry up driver as well. I talk really, really, really fast. When I'm excited and I'm passionate, I talk really fast. I do 3 jobs at once. I'll put the kettle on and put the washing in while I'm putting the kettle on, and then I'll pick the dog bowl up and I'll make a call, and I'll literally, I try to fit so much into my day, it's ridiculous. Not always productively, I must say. I fanny around a lot of the time as well. So those are the 5 drivers, but I've got a little quiz where you just answer some questions and it'll tell you which one you're in most often, and then what you can do about it.
I'm going out, literally when we finish this call, I'm going over, but I think mine was the last one, the getting everything done all at once. Was it try harder?
We have access to all of them, so it's not that you won, it's just which one you're in most. But
you're in
this
most.
Is what I get. Sometimes I just feel like I go bleh, and I throw all this information out, which can be a bit overwhelming to some people. But I love my job. I really love the job that I do. Yeah.
Oh, this is so interesting. So we've kind of already talked about it, but something that the reason I invited you on to the show was to talk about our limiting beliefs. And I was thinking about how I describe to my clients limiting beliefs, and it's kind of like your belief system that holds you back, the things that we are telling ourselves and that we truly believe about ourselves that literally stop us going to get what we want. And whether that is going to take that promotion, to put yourself forward for a new job, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to embark on a new relationship, whether it's to leave a relationship, and the beliefs we have ourselves literally, stop us being the person that we can truly be. I don't know if you would describe it any differently.
No, 100%. One of the things for me, because I'm trained in transactional analysis, is our life script, which is the basis of everything. And from when we're born to probably about 6 or 7, we map out our life, literally. It's like a script. It's like an EastEnders or Coronation Street script. We know who's going to be involved in it. We know who the people are going to, what personalities they're going to have, whether my life is a tragedy or a comedy or what. We literally have it planned out and we live our life by it. But we made those decisions as a kid, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But for me, as a transactional analysis, that's where our limiting beliefs come from. And it links in with the drivers, which is why I was talking about them. If I believe that I'm a people pleaser, then I'm constantly going to be neglecting myself, which is going to limit what I do. For somebody that wants to make a change, whether that's, again, with their mental health or diet, they're going to be fighting something that's telling them not to put themselves first. They could probably support somebody else on their dieting journey, but for them to put themselves in the arena and to focus on themselves is going to go all against their scripty stuff.
Yeah.
It's an acceptance and awareness. That's the key for me. I don't believe in making therapy or change hard work. And I'm not bad-mouthing any other form of therapy, but when we have to force ourselves to do something, that's hard work to me.
Yeah.
If I understand why I do it, I don't need to fight it. It just falls away. If it's kind of like, I got lots of validation when I was growing up, when I got it just right. When I came home and I'd moved up to the next reading book, and when my picture was in the lines, I got lots of praise and recognition, which is why I need to get it right as an adult now. But I don't need external validation for that now. I know when I've done a good job. So to me, that kind of knocks that block out of the way. Yeah. So it's an understanding and an acceptance of why I do what I do means I don't need to bother with it anymore.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
If it's a good thing, hang on to it. Being perfect is really important in your job. If you're a brain surgeon and you need to get it right, then obviously you don't want to throw that one away. So it's being in your adult and here and now and looking at what works and what doesn't and working on the stuff you don't want to be doing anymore.
Yeah.
Like if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about for our listeners, like dieting. And I think dieting is so hard and it's almost like you white knuckling it. It's like, how long can I stick to this? How long can I do it without going off plan, without having a bad day? If I can just do it till my holiday, if I can just do it till Christmas. And it's like, everyone talks about motivation and it's like, I lose motivation when I get to 2 stone, or I lose motivation once I go off track or once I get to whatever. And it's like you just said about it doesn't have to be that hard. And and that's what I'm trying to work with my clients on, the fact that when you realize how easy it can be, the weight loss takes care of itself, because you are just in a natural rhythm with food. You are looking after yourself. You are nourishing your body. You are not trying to follow someone else's rules. You are not following something you don't really want to do, but you've told yourself you should do it. You're not trying to force yourself to go to the gym every day and you absolutely hate it. You are just in such a different place. But obviously, because of years and years of dieting and the diet culture, we've lost that belief that it could even be that easy.
There's something else as well that I find with a lot of clients is if there's somebody who is caught up in their story around weight, that I comfort eat, I eat when I'm depressed, I eat when I'm celebrating, I eat when I'm happy, and they've kind of got this story around their weight and food and all that sort of stuff. To get somebody to give that up, it's kind of like a grieving process.
Yes.
And not only that, I've done this for 40 years or 30 years or whatever. And then we start to beat ourselves up because of how we've been in the past.
Yeah.
You know, so when we make a change, we're letting something go. Yeah. And that can be quite difficult. What I was a smoker for a long time, a ridiculous amount of time. And I had a real fear of succeeding, because then what?
Yeah.
How will I be in social situations if I'm not smoking and I'm not stood outside in the smoking shed where all the good stuff happens?
Yeah.
I'm going to be bored. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And it sounds ridiculous. I wanted to stop smoking, but I had a real fear of succeeding. And I think that's a psychological thing that often gets missed when we're trying to make a change.
Yeah.
The one thing for me, I'm not a smoker anymore. My daughter, when she was pregnant, said to me, "Mum, if you're smoking, you'll never go anywhere near him." And within a week, I stopped smoking and I've not had a cigarette since. So motivation can work.
Yeah, when you're doing it for that
what
reason.
You want to do.
Yeah.
And I respect my daughter for saying it. So I smoked through all 3 of my pregnancies, which is awful to say it out loud, but because she put that limit on me and I knew she wouldn't break it. So that was my motivation to do it.
Yeah.
But I had a real fear of succeeding because I didn't know what happens after it.
Yeah.
How am I a thin person? What does that look like? What do I do? How do I act? Who are my friends? You question everything when you make a change, and that's scary.
And you're right, it is mourning the loss of food. Yeah. Well, how do I deal with situations if I'm not going to use food to deal with them? A question that I ask quite often when my clients get stuck is, right, we know all the best things about losing weight, but what are the worst things? What are the worst things?
Hit it head on.
It's like, oh, well, there's not any bad things yet. There's always a bad thing. Come on, what is it? And it's quite often, well, actually, I'm worried that I actually don't fit in anymore because I'm known as the overweight friend. And sometimes it's actually more will be expected of them if they're smaller because they've used their weight for so long as an excuse not to do whatever it is, not to go on holiday, not to run around after grandchildren. And it's like, oh, actually, if I lose the weight, then I've got to do all the things that I said I can't do because of my weight. And that's like, oh, wow. It really is. Who am I?
Yeah, we rethink everything. When I see people that are, suffer from anxiety for years, one thought changes everything. That's it. You weren't born anxious. It happened, an event happened, your brain was doing exactly what it needed to do to protect you. There's a heap load of stuff that goes on with that. But if you're not anxious anymore, who are you? It's scary that the world opens up because we're so used to kind of living in this little channel that's safe. It's scary to think that actually I could go out there and live a life.
Yeah.
I can cock up, I can make mistakes. It's okay. We all do it. So I just love psychotherapy. I love human beings. And, if there's anything that I would say to people is our state of mind fluctuates constantly. It's a moving target. Yeah. You will nail your diet and the anxiety and everything 100%, but not all the time.
Yeah.
Life throws us a curveball. COVID has showed us that we will be okay. We just need to ride the storm. You are not the storm. You are, observing it. Yeah. Underneath it all, you are okay and you've got this.
Yeah, and you just saying about, it's never the same. It's up and down. I think in the last module of my program that I'm launching, I actually talk about the fact that you've got this now, but what happens when things change? You know, I think the example I used was you get into a really good routine with food, your family life, it's all sorted, and then the daughter moves and goes to uni, and everything's changed because you always sat and had, you know, your evening meal with her. So how does that affect you? The family dog passes away. You've got 2 losses within the space of 2 weeks. How does that affect you? And all of a sudden you're trying to find this new norm with food without that person in the house. You're trying to grieve. You're grieving the loss that they've got off to uni. You're grieving the loss of the family dog. And it's being able to go, okay, right, this is where I am right now. What tools are in my toolbox to deal with this right now? Because it's all there inside you. You've learned it on that journey of your 100%. Changing your relationship with food. Yeah. So what do you need right now to make this work for you?
And that what you said then, you've got it all inside you. I talk a lot about inside out and outside in. It's not events outside that cause me to do what I do. It's my thoughts around that cause all of the problems. But if we understand it, we're not scared of it. If you're saying, you know, you've got all the tools in your toolbox, we can navigate around everything that life throws at us. Yeah, I see clients that come, some clients I've had for 5 years, they come religiously every week. Others, they come for 4 weeks, they crack it, they go off, something will happen and they come back again just to touch base, which again is something that we like to do as human beings. I just need to check in. This is happening. Yeah, we talk about it. They bugger off again for another 6 months, which is lovely. But it's that being able to come back and check in sometimes. When life throws us a curveball, you might find that with your clients, they've got it, but then something happens and they just need to come back and touch base, which again, it's another psychological development phase. We do it as toddlers. It's the separating out and individuation phase. I don't know if you took your kids to playgroup. They go off and they play, but they're constantly just looking and checking. Yeah. And they might come back and have a hug and then they go off and they're happy. It's security. We need to know that you've still got my back. Even though I'm doing this and I'm winning, don't leave me. I need to be able to come back to you when I want to. And that's really important.
100%. I mean, I've been seeing some of my, I call them management clients, but for 16 years, a few of them, you know, they used to come weekly, and then it, you know, dropped to fortnightly, then monthly, and now it's probably twice a year. They just touch base with me, but they know they can kind of set themselves a 6-month period where, right, I'm going to touch base with Jenny again in June. Where's my weight right now? Not that it's all about weight, but you know, where's my relationship with food? How's my eating going? And it reminds them to review what they're doing. It reminds them to check in. So yeah. And it's that safety and security. And I think, you know, if we've got that, that's one of our basic needs, is boundaries and safety and security. So if you know, as people that serve other people, we can provide that for them, then I think that's really important. Yeah, definitely. Oh gosh, I could talk to you all day, and I'm conscious of time, but this is so interesting. I was going to ask you just a bit of a couple of final questions, if that's okay. Something I noticed when I was thinking about talking to you today is, I work from, obviously my clients come to me to lose weight. Your clients, they're coming to sort out things in their lives. But I find that for my clients to lose weight, they need to sort the things out in their lives, and then the rest kind of follows. Do you find that some of your clients are going, you know, the other goes the other way, if that makes sense? So do you find that many of them need to work on their relationship with food, their relationship with themselves, and a healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, 100%. And without getting too heavy with things, a lot of the stuff that we do can be classed as self-harm in one way or another. Overeating and undereating, whether we smoke, whether we drink, taking recreational drugs, not sleeping well, all the stuff connected with our lifestyle can be classed as a form of self-harm.
Yeah.
And when I say that to people, they're like, what? I said, well, you're either depriving yourself of something or giving yourself too much. Either one is quite damaging.
Yeah.
And it's a very subtle form of harming ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we can flip that on its head and look at it from the other side, okay, what do I do to really care and give myself love in amongst all this crap that's happening? I always talk about flipping things on the head. If that's how you're feeling now, okay, can we look at it from a different point of view?
Yeah.
So, it's about being compassionate and throwing love in the mix. Even with a partner that you're having real issues with, if we can be compassionate towards them, the relationship and us, it's so much easier than hanging on to that anger and aggression and everything else. So yeah, I see a lot of clients that have got issues around food, whether it's, like you say, secret eating, overeating, undereating, but underneath all of that is self-care. We need to take care of ourselves, and that's the opposite of self-harm, is self-care.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's seen as selfish. To prioritise ourselves, to put ourselves first, is not a thing that we British people do very well.
No, that is definitely something I'd say every single one of my client without fail, they'll go, but I haven't got time because I'm doing this for somebody else. And they even say, yeah, everybody tells me I need to make more time for myself. Like, come on.
So listen, do it. There's a reason why, I say this to all my clients, when an aircraft is coming down, I don't want to trigger anybody. I have a fear of flying, so I'm with you on that. But we're told to put our oxygen mask on first before we can help anybody else. You can't give from an empty battery. We need to be recharged. We need to take care of ourselves so that we can be there for the people around us. But we have to come first. And that goes against a lot of people's beliefs.
Yeah.
So I'm really big at encouraging people to be bloody selfish.
Yeah. I love that analogy of the aircraft coming down. Yeah. Put your mask on first. Really like that.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So I know you mentioned it already, but how can people find you if they'd like to do your quiz, or if they'd like to know more of what your services are?
Quiz is on my website, which is jaccijones.co.uk. Jacci spelt Jacci, just to be different, because I like people not to be able to find me on Facebook. That was a really bad thing I did when I was a teenager, changing my name. And you can search on Facebook and everything. It's just at Jacci Jones Coaching. But everything's on the website. I'd go to that one and you can find everything from there.
Amazing. And I'll pop that in the show notes as well. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I think, well, we said last week we could talk all day, couldn't we, when we did the podcast interview for your show. So thank you again to Jacci. I hope you have found value. Well, not I hope. I know you will have found value in what we've talked about today. Feel free to reach out to us both on social media. Let us know what's resonated with you. I know I love hearing from my followers, my listeners, and hearing how they're changing their lives one step at a time. And also, just something really, really exciting. Tomorrow is the first day within the Becoming You program. The Academy opens tomorrow, and I've got 8 excited members about to embark on a 12-week program with me, a 12-week journey. So please do, if you're not already in the Facebook group, please do follow, because there's going to be so much more coming in there. And yeah, I just needed to share that because I know it's been building up for a long time and people have probably been thinking, when is she launching this program? So here it is. It launches tomorrow. So that's it. That's
so exciting.
I know, it's so exciting. I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight.
That's amazing.
Oh, so that's it. That's everything from me, from Jacci. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, evening, day, whenever you're listening right now. And I will see you inside the Facebook group, on social media, or in the next episode. Take care.
Bye.